Hello there. In this video we're going to start building our accordion component for our design system. So let's do this. Okay, welcome back to the file. So let's add a new page for this new component. So let's click on the plus and let's type accordion. Okay, that's good. I'm just going to go into the buttons page, unlock this layer and steal the layout. So let's copy and paste that in here. Let's just remove that component for now. Okay, and now let's update the page. So we'll give it a heading. Okay, let's give it a description as well. So I've put an accordion toggles the visibility of content sections to save space and improve readability. So that's good. Let's go down here to the state. So we are going to need enabled. We're going to need hovered. We'll need focused. I think we'll remove press for now. We'll remove activated for now, and we'll keep disabled. So that'll be fine. So because this is an accordion, it's going to have two structural states. So we're going to have a collapsed and we're going to have an expanded version as well. So let's just click along, remove these. Okay, so just add a little bit more space between those. All right, so let's come over here. Let's draw out a frame. So F on the keyboard, let's click and drag. And this will be our testing area. So let's go inside. Let's press F again. Draw out a rough frame. Okay, so let's give it a fill. So let's do neutral 0 and let's give it a stroke. Let me just quickly add any color so I can see the stroke. I want to add a similar stroke to the text field. So let's zoom in. I on the keyboard. What color is this? So it's neutral 600. So let's use that. Let's go back to the accordion, go here, go to the 4 dots. Neutral 600. Okay, so that's been applied. Let's come into here and let's round the corners. So let's try 8. Maybe 8's not enough. Let's go to 16. Yeah, we'll stick with 16 for the moment. Okay, let's go back into our research file. Let's click here. Let's just take a copy of this. Let's take the heading as well, just for the moment. Let's copy and paste it above. So just so we can see what we had in our research file. So let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to need a heading. Let's press T on the keyboard for the type tool. Let's click. I'm just going to type out heading for now. Now let's just go back into our style guide and just see. So we've got headings. We've got heading 3 bold, so 24 pixels. So let's add that in for the moment. So let's just apply our typography variables. Okay, I think that's too large. Let's go down to 16. Let's just drop that line height as well. And let's keep that as bold. I think that should be okay. Yeah, I think that should be okay. Let's click on the frame here. Let's just rename that now to enabled. I'm going to click on it, press Shift A to apply an auto layout. Just going to apply an auto layout to our testing frame as well. So let me just drag it out a little bit. Okay, that's good. That's set to fill. Okay, so we have our heading. We're going to need that on the left hand side. We're going to need an icon to signify that it can be expanded or collapsed. So let's go into our assets. Let's type in icon and let's grab the icon slot. Let's drop one of those in. Let's click on file again. Click on the frame. So I'm going to double click on align center and that pushes the space between these elements. So we've got one at each end. The icon slot that I've dropped in is already what I need. It's a chevron down, so that's really good. Okay, that's a good start so far. Let's have a look at the spacing. So let's apply some variables. So let's do 24 pixels left and right, and let's do 16 for the top and the bottom. Okay, there we go. That tightens that up a little bit. Let's just expand this testing frame out a tiny bit more. Okay, so what I'll do for now is I will highlight the text, highlight the icon slot, press Shift A, and let's wrap them in a frame and label those as heading. So I think that's good. Don't need any additional spacing, so I'll just set those variables. Okay, so that should be the enabled collapse state done for the moment. Let's just press Command D, duplicate it out, and let's think about how the expanded enabled version of this component would look. So for starters, if I click in here, the icon slot is not going to be chevron down, it's going to be chevron up. There we go. Probably going to need an additional container inside this to house the text that I'm going to display. So if this is going to be used for FAQs, you're going to have the heading, Then you're going to have some additional context beneath it. So what we'll do is we'll add some text beneath. So let's click into here, let's draw out a frame. Now what I want to do is I want to bring that heading above the frame. Let's rename this to container. Currently this is set to horizontal layout, we want to set it to vertical. There we go, that pushes the heading up. Let's just Shift A on this container. Let's set it to fill. We'll set it to hug as well in a second. Let's just type some text in here. Okay, I'll add that there for now. Let's just apply some spacing variables just for the moment. And we really need to change that text, so it's not going to be bold. Let's change that to regular. Let's drop it down to 14, but let's apply these in variables. Okay, so we've got those variables applied now. Okay, that container is set to fill and hug. Okay, that looks good for now. So we have our collapsed and we also have our expanded enabled states for the accordion. Alright, so let's select these two components that we've created. Let's go up to here to create component options. Let's create multiple components and let's then combine as variants. So there we go. Let's rename the component to accordion. And now let's see if we can drag and drop this onto the page to the right hand side. Okay, there we go. That's a starting point. Let's click on the frame. Let's just drag that out slightly and let's separate these out a little bit more. So let's just drag this over here for now. We can tidy up the component later. Clicking on the dashed line. So let's look at our properties. Let's click on here. Let's rename that to states. Let's click off. So we have enabled, and actually this should be enabled as well. They are now going to get this error because they're going to conflict with each other. So let's add another property. So clicking on the plus, clicking on variant. So I'm just going to name this property type, and I'm going to have the default value as collapsed. There we go. Let's create that property. Okay, so clicking on the component on the left, this is going to be enabled and the type is going to be set to collapsed. I'm going to click on the component on the right. This is going to be enabled and we're just going to rename that to expanded. Click on enter. That error will now disappear because they're now unique. And now we can continue building out our other states. So let's click here. I might click on Shift A to apply an auto layout and set it to vertical, just because I want these components set to fill. So there we go. You can just drag that out a tiny bit more. And look, by the looks of things, this heading also needs to be set to fill, as does this one. Okay, good. There we go. I might change how we display this collapsed and expanded states. I might just put them next to each other here to make it easier. But let's see. We'll keep building the component and see how things go. Right, so I want to click on the enabled collapsed. I want to click on plus, and now I want to rename this to hovered. So let's do a hovered version of this. Okay, so going back to some of our other components, like the text fields, like the buttons, we probably want to use a similar style. So let's go here, let's hold shift and click. So we're using Sapphire 300 for hovered. Let's go back to the accordion. Let's go here. Let's increase that stroke slightly and let's change that color to Sapphire 300. Okay, let's click on the plus. So let's do a focus state. Let's rename the state above here as well to focused. Now going over to our text fields again, the focus state is here. Click I on the keyboard, hold shift, click, that's neutral 900. Let's go back to the accordion and let's apply neutral 900. There we go. Okay, I'm going to click on the plus again and this one is going to be disabled. There we go. Okay, just going back to the text field, let's have a look. So disabled seems to be a mix here. So we've got, let's have a look. Let's press shift and click. So the background is neutral 50. So let's click here, click on accordion, neutral 50. And let's go back again. And the text is hold shift and click. That's neutral 100. Let's go back. Okay, let's click on the heading. Let's just target these colors because I see one of them is not connected to a design system color. So let's target that one. Okay, let's apply neutral 100. Just check that that is what the icon slot is. Yep, I'm just going to go in here as well and just adjust some of these colors. So we've got neutral 900 here. Let's apply neutral 900 there. Same with this heading. Let's just tidy things up. Okay, let me just click on the frame. Okay, let's apply neutral 600 to that text just for the moment while I'm looking at it. Okay, let's just reduce the stroke on this border. Let's just make sure that stroke is neutral 600. Okay, just before I continue, something I've just noticed going into the style guide is looking at the colors. So some of the colors I was using just then for text were slightly incorrect. So for anything that's not a heading, we're using neutral 600. Text links are obviously using a slightly different color, but the majority of them are using neutral 600 for the large, the medium and the small. So what I've done is I've just gone back through the UI kit and I've just quickly updated all the different screens very quickly with the correct colors, just so we've got consistency across the board. That applies to the headings, some of the subheadings, and then also some of the components as well. So things like the label, the description, and the feedback underneath the text field. Same with some of the button labels. I've updated those too to neutral 600. And now we're back on the accordion. So just wanted to add that to the video just to make sure all the right colors are being used in the right places. Hopefully we're back up to date. Okay, that's it for part 1 of the video. Part 2 will be next week. So like and subscribe, add some comments, check out some other videos on my channel, and I will see you in the next video.